Hello, everybody. Today is April 30th, and we're doing business and... Was it security?
It was.
It was. Well, we were worried that we started streaming, so there was a moment of panic. But it was fine. We're not streaming. We're just recording, so...
It's fine, though, because that would be YouTube, and you can't actually just, like...
Yeah, it's not like Twitch. Yeah.
Yes. So, we have some generic... I usually break them out into, like, if it's just generic. I felt like this wasn't hardware or software. This is just Google recognizing that the workforce is now desperate and running out of money. And guess what? When that's the case, you do whatever you want to them.
Google forcing some remote workers to come back 3 days a week or lose their jobs. This is a stealth layoff, as it always is.
Google looking to replace workers with robots, but not get headlines about it. Mm-hmm. That would be another way that you could write that. So if you're within 50 miles of some property that they own, they expect you 3 days a week.
Man, it gotta suck if you're like mile 49.
Yeah, really.
You could be within 50 miles, but like, is it as the crow flies? Like, can you
question.
argue? Yeah.
Probably, yeah, it probably is.
Because that kind of sucks, because you could just end up in traffic all day.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people commute like well over an hour.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
I've never, well, I guess I used to do that. I did like a 45-minute commute. But that was like a temporary thing while I was like in my probationary period at a job.
Well, it's going to be temporary for these people too, because they're not going to have these jobs.
Yeah.
Either way. And we're all hyped for the new graphics cards and everything that are coming out.
That you can't get.
Yeah, it's really hard to get one. But they are, maybe because nobody has them, they haven't been tested properly.
Nvidia's GPU drivers are a mess. There's a lot of very upset people in this article and also in the comments of this article on The Verge.
I tried out on Game Pass, they had Oblivion, and then they got that new...
The remaster.
Yeah, and then Clair Obscur. Here's an art degree question. What's Clair Obscur?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Apparently it's half-light, but it's an art thing that uses black and white somehow. Wasted degree.
I actually used my degree, thank you.
But they've been crashing a lot. Now it is Game Pass, and Game Pass is garbage, and they usually screw the games up somehow. So I don't know whether to blame it on the graphics card or the Game Pass, but I've been having a lot of instability.
Just mentally.
Sure.
Mental instability.
Yeah, I mean,
but also on my PC.
I don't think that would cause the card to crash, though.
Maybe.
My own
it's like a gremlin. It's feeding off your energy.
Oh, that's a terrible thing, then. They did issue a hot fix. I think it was like Wednesday. I haven't experimented with it yet.
I think they said they've had to issue a couple, and some people were saying they had to roll back all the way to a driver from like December. But it doesn't work with certain cards, so you're kind of screwed.
You're always screwed.
Yeah.
With this kind of technology. And yes, the movement now is not to make those kinds of cards anyway, right? The money is in making massive data center AI stuff. That's where it's all going. And my God, is TSMC going hard on it.
TSMC mulls massive 1,000 watt class multi-chiplet processors with 40 times the performance of standard models.
They're going so big on this that the next iteration that's coming out will fit on a standard socket right now, but they're going to have to build new form factors for the other ones because they're simply going to be too huge. And all the power requirements, it's crazy. And all this.
It's really going to suck up the water in Arizona.
There's some size comparisons. Look at that behemoth. Also, the AI can replace us. Do you know how much water that thing needs?
More than a human. Actually, probably. More than a human.
And here's a fun trend that we have because, we talk about stealth layoffs with Google, stuff like that. Why do they do it, right? Well, it's because the stock market really, really likes it. They see that as a short-term increase in income because you're not paying anybody, and no one cares about any long-term things, which kind of got this company in this situation in the first place, didn't it?
Yeah. Intel stock surges and chipmaker reportedly plans to cut 20% of its workforce, while also talking out the other side of their mouths about how they're investing in the future.
Oh, they are. Just not humans. Because humans are not the future. I don't know if you've noticed yet. Our days are The sun is setting on humanity.
Who buys your products? Eventually there's a problem where there's nobody to buy your product.
Well, at some point, you don't need to get the income voluntarily.
No, you just take it.
You just enslave them for the resources and labor. And you might not even need the labor, right?
You just know you need their power. It's the Matrix. You just live in a pod, and they suck up your juices and use you as a battery.
Why not? But yes, the consumer is feeling it, and plus all the tariffs and everything. And like I said, the supply chain has a limited time. We haven't really felt it yet in the degree that we probably will, but it's coming.
UBS trims smartphone PC forecast while India emerges as a production winner.
So everything from China is going to India for obvious reasons. But even that, a lot of these Indian firms who have massive headcounts are cutting back because they're not getting the orders that they used to get. And the sales are way down.
Which surprised me a little bit. I mean, people don't have a lot of money, but I would think after all the tariffs were announced, everyone would rush to buy things, like in this case for the story we're about to talk about.
But what are they going to exchange for those items?
Right.
Which, yeah. This is kind of an industry leader. So generally, a lot of the smaller companies follow their lead. Will they do this?
Logitech prices up by as much as 25% as tariffs kick in.
Not 25 is it just for the headline. The average is actually, I think maybe one or two products is 25%. The average is 14, but that's still pretty bad.
That's still pretty bad. They also mentioned that like Amazon hasn't like Logitech products on Amazon haven't caught this yet, but it's only a matter of time.
They might still have inventory.
Yeah, that's what they're getting rid of old inventory so that way they can sell all the new and be like, oh, it's just the tariffs.
And here is a headline we've been seeing for several weeks at this point, but there's always a paragraph at the bottom. It's like, don't read anything into this. This is just normal. We do this all the time.
Everything's fine.
Yeah, it doesn't mean anything.
Amazon has paused some data center lease commitments, Wells Fargo says.
So we've seen Microsoft do this. I think we saw Google do this. There was another company last week, and now Amazon. So all that data center hype, remember when they were like buying up everything in the world? Well, that's not the case anymore. This is a post-DeepSeek world. And because of the trade war, China has restricted all of our access to their rare earths. And guess what? We don't have those at all. A lot of places don't produce those at all. So what are you going to do?
Western Digital launches HDD recycling process that reclaims rare earth elements, cuts out China.
Unfortunately, out of the 14 rare earths that they have restricted, only one can be reclaimed from hard drives.
I mean, it's good that we're trying, I guess, but...
Well, it's better than just throwing all that stuff away.
Yeah, I might as well try to use some of it.
Although the process is involved and probably has some environmental effects on its own.
Maybe we should just live in the woods.
Oh, there's not enough woods.
There's not anymore.
Not even close.
Yeah, we're really cutting them down now.
Do you know how many, like it would take what? A month for all the deer to disappear?
Oh, yeah, for hunting, yeah.
And plus they have all those diseases and stuff. It'd be
You'd get chronic wasting disease and then it'd be a zombie apocalypse, not just a economic collapse.
So that future, that's probably where we're going. But the good news is on the way there, my God, are we going to have fast data transfer?
World's fastest memory writes 25 billion bits per second, 10,000 times faster than current tech.
So we're looking at volatile memory speeds for non-volatile memory, which would be a huge bonus for AI because AI, one of its big bottlenecks, is moving things in and out. It needs to do that very rapidly. This, however, is a future tech. It doesn't exist yet. I think they've done it on very, very, very small scale, one-offs. And the electric vehicle revolution is kind of stalled. A lot of people are kind of regretting it, although that has more to do with Elon Musk than anything else. However, in China, they're still going hard.
Is it CATL?
I mean, it's an acronym, but they probably do say CATL, right?
Yeah, I would think so. China's CATL says it's overtaken BYD on 5-minute EV charging time.
I don't remember the exact times, right? It didn't cut a lot off of it, but it was a little bit better than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's still pretty good.
Yeah. Because you got to think, like, what's your average gas pump? Like 2 minutes? Might
Yeah,
get-
it depends. I guess if you were closer to E, it might take a little longer, but
and the size of your tank.
Yeah.
But still, I wouldn't mind 5. You know, you go in,
Yeah.
you take a pee.
you get a snack.
Yeah.
You go to Buc-ee's. You get your brisket on the board.
I
You
mean,
buy a bunch of junk you don't need.
at Buc-ee's, though, you know, I mean, you're going to spend $100.
Yeah,
I wouldn't
yeah.
recommend that.
Do
If you-
they have EV chargers at Buc-ee's?
They do, yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
They have EV chargers and they have non-ethanol gas.
Yeah, I've seen that.
The EV chargers are like way in the back.
I've never passed.
But-
I've only been to the Buc-ee's near us like a couple times. but-
Pro tip: go around and park on that side because nobody does.
Wow.
People are such just like sheep, right?
I like to park. There's a really beautiful view of the mountains. So it's like you have Buc-ee's on one side and then like the mountains on the other. And it's like, what a weird contrast this
There
is.
really is nothing else out there.
Yeah.
What a great place to put that. Well, I'm not looking to wear glasses that record my entire life, but some people are. And if you are, this is admittedly a cool thing that you will get alongside it.
Meta rolls out live translations to all Ray-Ban smart glasses users. I will say though, again, like just reading the comments on this article, some people who have these glasses say that the live translation does not work super well.
Yeah, well, at this point, they've got a model that runs locally on the glasses, or they communicate with your phone, right? Is that how those
I think
work?
so, yeah.
So I imagine that's probably not great. And they probably don't have the connectivity because even if you are using your phone, imagine the data costs
Yeah.
that you're going to accrue doing that. But they are working on live AI, which allows Meta Smart Assistant to continuously see what you do for more natural conversations. Coming soon to general availability in the US and Canada. So they want an AI to be able to send and receive messages, photos, audio calls, video calls from Instagram on your glasses.
I get so annoyed when my phone won't stop buzzing or like when people message me all the time. I can't imagine how annoying it would be if it was constantly like beamed into my eyeballs.
But not even that. It's just passively observing everything.
Yeah.
And taking
Yeah, that's not
cutting
great.
clips out. And yeah, that's terrifying. And Google Chrome, which might soon not be Google Chrome. It
May just
might
be Chrome.
just be Chrome. And that might be why they've stopped bothering with this.
Google Chrome will now continue to use third-party cookies.
Has it been 3 years, I think, this whole thing? They've delayed and delayed
Yeah,
and delayed.
I don't know what the status of that now.
And finally, they've just given up.
Yeah.
They're just not doing it anymore. And it's because it upends the entire surveillance ad industry.
Which is what they make their money on.
They wanted to put their own system in place, but I think they've realized that if they do that right now, while they're in court, it's going to be really bad. So they're not going to do that. But Chrome is on the block, and who will buy it?
OpenAI would buy Google Chrome. Exec testifies at trial. I think there was it this article or maybe a different one? We had a quote from the guy from DuckDuckGo. It was like, we can't afford that.
Well, if you can, but there is another name who's thrown their hat into the ring.
Yahoo wants to buy Chrome. Didn't Yahoo buy Tumblr too? Was it Yahoo bought Tumblr?
They've made some poor
Yeah.
acquisitions. They also have no AI. They have no modern presence.
It's amazing to me that Yahoo's still around, and yet
It
here
takes
it
a long
is.
time for these things to die. So yeah, a lot of these people are saying, "Oh yeah, we've been working on our own, but we'd happily buy that one."
Yahoo web browser. Ugh.
And that is not the only new web browser that we have to be excited about. This one is, let's be honest, Chrome is already tracking everything we do, right?
There's the reason, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's in a way, in a lot of ways. But if you take away that in a way caveat and just say, yes, on purpose, tracking everything you do for the purpose of advertising, that is literally what this man has said.
Perplexity CEO says its browser will track everything users do online to sell hyper-personalized ads. Now, the headline sounds pretty awful, but his quote in the article also was pretty awful.
Yeah, he wasn't, he
didn't
didn't walk it
cage it,
back.
yeah. He was just like, no, this
yeah,
is-
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, they don't care anymore. They're not worried about pushback.
We're
because-
hooked. We're hooked on the product, so they can just do whatever they want.
Well, not only are we hooked on the product, but they don't need us anymore.
Yeah.
We're not a part of the equation anymore. We can simply be replaced, pushed out. And that ad tracking is also getting Shopify in some trouble.
Shopify must face data privacy lawsuit in the U.S. Their counter argument here was pretty garbage, I thought.
So the argument here is that Shopify was taking all of your purchase information and giving it to Google or whoever had their pixels and tracking stuff.
Yeah, what marketing companies, yeah.
And Shopify was like, well, of course we're allowed to do that.
And they were like, not in California, you're not. And they're like, well, we didn't advertise for stuff in California. And it's like,
Yeah. So California did in fact use Shopify, which means that they'll be on the hook for that. We'll hear more about that. And how's that Netflix account of yours going? Still watching?
Well, it wasn't ours. But I mean, yes, it was ours, but no, I don't use Netflix anymore.
Well, hopefully, because the sad part is after Netflix did that, they got more subscribers.
Which blows my what?
Line went up, which means that, of course, everybody's going to do it now. They had to wait a little while because they're still trying to build their base. But once they get a critical number of users, you're always going to get this.
Warner Brothers Discovery starts max password sharing crackdown. You know what's interesting to me is I bought Succession, which is a Max show, or I guess it's HBO. But like, I bought it from them on DVD. A lot of the streaming services don't offer their shows on DVD, but for whatever reason, they produced that one.
That is crazy. Was it DVD or Blu-ray?
I don't remember. It's all 4 seasons. I don't remember.
It's got to be Blu-ray, right?
Probably. But it's physical media. Like, they didn't... It's weird that they offered it. I figured that I would, have to acquire it in some other way.
Well, I mean, they want to still sell things to you and everybody over the age of 70.
Yeah.
So...
But I'm not paying for the account. I'll pay for the show, though. I like the show.
So $7.99, and you can add one other person, but that's where the limit is.
Yeah.
You only have one extra. And if you are on Discord, just know that Discord, they're trying to be, part of the tech world. They're trying to IPO. They're going to be one of the big tech players.
I mean, it was already kind of not great with all the Nitro stuff, but it's just going to get worse.
And they're going to be more open to this kind of thing because they don't want to rock the boat. They want to be part of the cool kid club.
Nintendo is going after the leaker behind major Pokémon Teraleak. Did we cover this before? I feel like I don't remember the Teraleak.
We might have mentioned it, but yeah, it's basically they got a hold of some...
Literally everything.
Terabytes, that's why it's the Teraleak, of data, and it was the new Pokemon game and assets and internal stuff. And,
concept art, like a bunch of stuff that they were working on internally. And Nintendo was like, you need to give us all these Discord user info. And I don't
one in particular.
Discord hasn't replied yet, correct? Like they haven't agreed to do it.
I don't know.
I'm sure that they probably will, but
yeah, Nintendo traditionally gets their way.
Yeah.
This kind of thing. That person though, I don't think they released everything, right? They just had it. They proved they had it.
Yeah.
So not as bad as it could have been. I'm not saying.
Yeah, they didn't release the source code for the game.
Yeah.
They threatened to.
Probably not the right thing to do, but also, I don't know. You know what? I'm not going to pick a dog in that fight. I've seen, yesterday I saw some people saying that it might be back in read-only mode. I forgot to check, but a lot of people were writing off one of the origin points for the memes that we've all enjoyed.
4chan has been offline for over a week, and it's probably not coming back. It feels like the end of an era. It's like one of the relics of the old internet.
One of the last actual human... I mean, I'm sure there was a lot of bots on there.
Oh, yeah.
But
and there's a lot of terrible stuff on 4chan, but like...
Oh, God. But also some of the most creative stuff.
Yeah, just like stupid things, yeah.
It's sourced there, and it filtered through...
to more hospitable parts of the internet,
yeah. For sure. So
yeah, it's a little... Like, I have conflicted feelings about it.
Hopefully everybody does. Their security issues were just, they didn't update anything.
Outdated,
they didn't really care about it. I've got a feeling that people bought it and they were like, I don't know what to do with this, so just run ads on it and let it sit over here. And then somebody eventually got in there. And security, of course, is just more bad news. And now we have a pretty critical error in the operating system that unfortunately runs everything on the web.
Hackers can now bypass Linux security thanks to terrifying new curing rootkit.
So this has to do with monitoring system calls, and modern Linux has sort of defaulted to that for a lot of cybersecurity. It's like, hey, be careful. Let's look at system calls and see if anything weird has happened. Well, this exploit lets you bypass all the things that are monitoring that. And so you can get in there and mess around and not set the alarms off.
Oh, good.
And we can't have a week without a giant data leak. And of course, healthcare, right? When you put your information into any set of healthcare, just imagine that it's going out the window immediately, because that's what's happening every single time.
Blue Shield of California shared private health data of 4.7 million members with Google without consent.
So yeah, Google was just running, ad trackers or whatever on these sites, and they didn't redact anything. None of the medical stuff.
We see you're diabetic. Would you like to buy some insulin?
Yeah, exactly. It went right into the advertising profile.
Ugh.
And it's not coming out.
Sugar-free candies.
And the surveillance state, the critical error in the surveillance state, other than, just like human misery, is that they themselves have no ability to secure anything.
Employee monitoring app leaks 21 million screenshots in real time. This is if you're you're working and someone, your boss installs this and they take screenshots of what you're looking at any given time, which could be internal secrets or emails or even
keys, API keys,
passwords. Yeah.
Or a lot of people probably do some personal stuff on there. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You might check if you have your calendar up or something, and you might have your personal appointments up.
Or those hospital records. Maybe you're logging in.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got a sick kid. Let me check in on that. So this was an unsecured database. Somebody found it. It was dumping. They take a screenshot every couple of seconds. So in real time, people could sit and monitor individual desktops. The future is never not going to be this, people. Think about that. This is it. From now on, everything is out there. Everything is surveilled.
That's going to be on Windows 11. That's a feature they want for that too.
Instantly searchable. AI is going to be able to go back all through it. You might be like wiping your brow. It's like, oh, well, I got away with it for a while. I'll
delete
stop
my
now.
browser history is no longer a thing. That's
Doesn't
no
matter.
longer a meme.
You can't escape.
There is no delete my screen share history. It's just always there.
And we're always here week after week, and we'll be back on Friday.
Bye.